Gurirap, our second speaker. The Blue Room to be renamed after Dr. Stefania Kameta, our former Deputy Speaker. And the Pink Room to be renamed after Honorable Ignatius Shihwameni. Last but not least, and I'm doing this with a gentle smile, the library to be renamed after the Honorable Professor Peter Hishitevi Kashavivi. And we are going to call it, there is a history about this maybe. During the time of the founding on the University of Namibia, we struggled to raise funding. This information is very important to the Honorable Minister of Finance. We got the Africa Development Bank to finance the building of the library of the University of Namibia. And the Africa Development Bank they said they don't finance libraries. So we improvised and said, well, we are going to call it a resource center. And the library of the University of Namibia, the official title is Resource Center. And somehow some wise people decided also to rename our library now, bearing the title of my name, a Resource Center. Someone had been doing research and digging into my life, and they came up with this idea. So I really want to congratulate them for being very thoughtful. Maybe this will attract funding as well for the National Assembly, a Resource Center. So that is collectively what has been sorted out through a committee that worked its work on behalf of the Standing Rules and Order. And today we are formally shared in the chamber for your information. And judging from the way you responded, everything is now fully endorsed by you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yes, I must admit, there were serious observation by a number of members of parliament, both male and female, questioning the long list of male, and but they acknowledged the fact there is room for the committee to continue looking into the possibility of identifying some of our senior female members who do deserve to be acknowledged for their own contribution. So this is not the end of this important subject matter. We'll come back with another list of recommendations, and hopefully the list will be predominantly female. And I think we are all committed to be leading an inclusive institution within our social society, and I'm sure this subject matter will be addressed very soon, and it will be brought before you here. Can we agree to that? Thank you. Honourable members, one more item. This is very important, and I need to bring to your attention. The standing rules also reflected on the fact that the body of the Founding Father by tomorrow will be taken to our various regions for our country, including all the region, to partake in paying homage to his passing. And the recommendation from the standing rules is that it is important that members of this House are equally involved in the region, and therefore they are recommending that we are not able to sit tomorrow and for the entire next week, in order for members of parliament to be actively involved in the various regions, part of the tribute to the Founding Father. So the recommendation that this is the last day we are sitting. Tomorrow we are not sitting, and the whole of next week will not be sitting, but we reconvene soon after the funeral. Dako, do you accept that? Thank you very much. So agreed. Any petitions? Reports of standing select committees? And we have a number of committees that are going to be tabled, and I will start with the Honorable Ifete.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I lay upon the table of this August House the following report of the Standing Committee on Economics and Public Administration. A report on the petition by Leisure Empowerment on the market for livestock in Namibia, Northern Communal Area. Report on helping informal traders. A report on benchmarking visit in Ghana. Report on the Parliamentary Global Forum. Another report again on the Global Forum at World Bank. A report of the Parliamentary Network. A report on the oversight visit on capital project, and a report on public service delivery workshops that was held in Swakopmund. A report on the motion on the tender awarding process of the Central Procurement Board of Namibia. The 10th one, the report on the investigating the overcharges and unethical multiple charges resulting in over-profiting by commercial banks in Namibia. A report on One Namibia, One Nation, on how it related to various opportunities. And lastly, a report on the visit to the railway infrastructure in northern regions. I so move, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. I can tell you have been busy with all those reports, and I hope we'll do justice to them. Thank you. And next, Honorable Mororwa.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I lay upon the table the following reports of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts for discussions. 1. Report on the review of the audited report of the Namibia Broadcasting Corporation for the years ended 31st March 2017-2018. 2. Reports on the audited report of the Namibian Students Financial Assistance Fund for the financial years ended 2011 to 2013 and 2014 to 2019. 3. Report on the audited report of the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs for the financial year ended 31st of March 2019. 4. Report on the audited report of the Office of the President for the financial years ended 31st of March 2019-2020. And then lastly, number 5, report on the oversight visit to government residential assets in Oshona, Ohangwena, Omusadi, and Oshikoto regions. I so move.
Thank you very much. Next, Honorable Karondo.
Thank you for the floor, Honorable Speaker, honorable members. I lay upon the table the following reports of the Standing Committee on Constitutional and Legal Affairs. 1. Report on the benchmark and study visit on the effectiveness of traditional courts, community courts in Zambia for note-taking. 2. Report on the benchmark and study visit on the effectiveness of traditional courts and community courts in Botswana. for note-taking. 3. Report on the impact of government programs and projects and activities of marginalized communities of Namibia for consideration, discussion, and adoption. 4. Report on the capital projects of the Ministry of Justice, Vote 16, Medium-Term Framework from 2020 to 2021 up to 2024-2025 for consideration, discussion, and adoption. 5. Report on the benchmark visit to Parliament of Ghana for note-taking. 6. Report on the benchmark visit to Parliament of Zimbabwe for note-taking. And lastly, Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I lay upon the table the report on the motion on illegal lithium mining in Uis Daures constituency in the Rongo region of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Natural Resources for consideration, discussion, and adoption. I so move, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Next, the Honorable Kafula. Oh.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I lay upon the table the report on the motion on human-wildlife conflict of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Natural Resources for discussions. I so move, Honorable Speaker. I have another one. Honorable Speaker, I lay upon the table on behalf of Honorable Levi Katoma, the chairperson of the Standing Committee on Foreign Affairs, Defense and Security, 3 reports. 1, report for the motion on deplorable conditions in which holding and correctional facilities are in, with the objective of protecting the human rights of all persons with dignity. Number 2, report on the benchmarking visit to Parliament of Botswana. And number 3, report on the benchmarking visit to Parliament of Zambia for discussions. I so move, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, the Honorable Nono Kachingisiwa.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I lay upon the table for discussion the report of the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Human Resource and Community Development on the motion on devastating strike at the Namibian Broadcasting Corporation, NBC, the long-awaited one. Thank you. For discussion. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Next, Honorable Ifete.
Yes,
I'm assuming that
Honorable.
some of you want to tell us something about the Honorable Kachingisiwa.
Honorable Speaker, honorable members, can I have your attention, please? All the reports that we have tabled, they are all for discussions except the benchmarking visit to Ghana and the parliamentary global forums. Those 3 reports are for note-taking. The rest, they are all for discussion and adoption. And so removed.
Thank you.
Good.
We take note of that. Good. Can we move on now? Other reports and papers? Notices of questions? Notices of motions? Oh, yes, Honorable Chivede. You have the floor.
Speaker. I have an oral question, Honorable Speaker, very important because I must ask that question. I have an oral question.
Well,
for Minister, Deputy Minister is now here because the Minister, I did not see the Minister.
well, can I have the gist of the question?
Yeah. Shortage of medication still on the government hospitals.
Yes.
I was already asking that question about the shortage of the medication in the clinics and the hospital of government hospital. So I was waiting maybe for a ministry, because of there is still not medications at the hospitals, and the people are really asking about that one. This is why I wanted to find out how far is the court case that the minister was telling us here, and how is the people now, because the people are affected about the shortage of the medication. This is why I wanted to find out how far are they with this.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I will direct the question to the Deputy Minister. It's nothing to do with the court. It's nothing to do with the court. Just the availability of medicine in hospitals.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, my sister, for the question. It's a very important one. Of course, the issue of medical and clinical supplies is something that is very on our agenda, and I want to mention that we have started already negotiations with various countries like South Africa, Tanzania, and Egypt to assist us. And I can confirm that towards the end of last year, I think that was in November, we have received quite a substantive consignment of medical supply. And last week, I was in the regions, especially the 2 Kavango regions, and I visited the Kurenkuru and Dara Hospital, as well as the Runtu Intermediate Hospital, and also some few health centers and clinics. And I was quite happy to see, because that was the main reason. I wanted to see what is the level of our stock in the pharmacies. And I can say with confidence that there were medication. And it will help also if one can be specific and say at this specific facility A or B, because it happens sometimes that at certain clinics or a certain facility there is a stock out, but there is also an arrangement, an interregional arrangement where they can also get from other regions or other facilities in the region. So it will help a lot also to know which facilities specifically, so that one can also look at that. With regard to the court case that my sister is referring to, I'm not so sure which court case is that one. Is it the tender? Or is it the one on the tender maybe? I would say so. So if that is still in the court, I don't think I can express myself on that one for now. We are waiting for the court to express itself, and then, of course, we will have a position as a ministry. So I think that is how I can respond to the question.
Thank you very much. But in the meantime, if there's some specific health centers or hospital please share the information with the Deputy Minister. Thank you very much. The Honorable Jennifer van Heever.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I hereby give notice that on Thursday, 27 February 2025, I shall ask the Minister of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security, Honourable Albert Kawana, the following. Visa-free travel for diplomatic and official passport holders. Give leeway to foreign officials to push political agendas, influence the Namibian government, engage in lobbying, or manipulate the Namibian digital infrastructure. Namibia and China have agreed to establish a mutual visa exemption agreement applicable to holders of the diplomatic and official passports. The Ministry has emphasized that any exemption must be mutual, but there are some concerns about this Namibia-China visa exemption. I therefore wish to ask the Honourable Minister the following 8 questions. How does this exemption align with Namibia's broader foreign policy and diplomatic engagement? Will the visa-free entry cover multiple entries within a certain period, or is it a single entry exemption? How will this agreement strengthen the diplomatic ties and cooperation between Namibia and China? Are there any expected economic or administrative benefits for Namibia as a result of this exemption? Have similar visa exemption agreements been signed with other countries, and how does this compare? What are the security protocols to prevent misuse of diplomatic or official passports under this exemption? How will Namibia ensure that only eligible government officials benefit from this arrangement? And lastly, many Western countries like the United States, France and the United Kingdom perceive the growing ties between Africa and China as a challenge, particularly in economic, geopolitical and strategic terms. Will this Namibia-China visa exemption cause diplomatic friction with Western countries? I so submit.
Thank you. Next, Honorable Dechard.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I hereby give notice that on Thursday, 27th of February 2025, I shall ask the Minister of Information and Communication Technology, Honorable Emma Theophilus, the following. A well-functioning government email system is important for efficient communication, security and service delivery. A proper functioning email system can also strengthen the government's professional image by ensuring that all official communication comes from secure and verified government domains. However, the situation of the Namibian government email system is worrisome and discouraging, where so many civil servants complain of the ever down and slow email system. I therefore wish to ask the Honourable Minister the following. Why is the Namibian government email system often slow and unreliable? Are there known technical issues causing delays in email delivery and access? What challenges does the government face in maintaining a stable email infrastructure? How secure is the current government email system against cyber threats such as hacking and ransomware? Are there plans to collaborate with private IT companies or experts to enhance email services? Many government officials use personal emails for official government correspondence. What policies are in place to regulate this? In fact, share with us the stance of the government's official communication policy regarding email correspondence. How much funding is allocated for IT infrastructure improvements, especially for email systems? And lastly, Honourable Speaker, can the Ministry commit to a timeline for fixing the slow mail email system? I so submit, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you. Thank you. The Honourable Shirare.
There's two questions.
No. I move on.
Okay. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, I hereby give notice that upon our return, because it was supposed to be tomorrow, upon our return from the sitting, or to the sitting, I shall move that the House discusses the urgent need to rectify the injustices arising from the Shirare versus ECN case as determined by the Electoral Court on the 13th of July 2020 and later affirmed by the Supreme Court on the 30th of May 2022. Under normal circumstances, court orders are never discussed, but yeah. This House must deliberate on the failure to implement the full court order as directed by the Supreme Court in paragraph 41 and 42 of its judgment to ensure that the legitimately elected members of Parliament receive their rightful remuneration and benefits. I further move that this motion be referred to the relevant Parliamentary Standing Committee so that something like this is never repeated again. Very good. For further investigation and action. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
This is a very, very unusual, but we'll look into that. We cannot make a judgment, but we'll look into that and see how we can handle it. Messages from the head of state, ministerial statements. So we have disposed that part of the agenda. The Secretary will read the first order of the day.
Resumption of debate to approve the amended rules of the Members of Parliament and other office bearers pension fund.
I'm taking it due to in democracy there is always room for consultation and hearing each other in order to make progress that is deserving of the interests of everyone in this House. The Honourable Minister of Finance and Public Enterprises will address the matter on the basis of allowing further consultation to take place. Can I give you the floor?
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. In fact, Honourable Speaker, you have already guided that there is a need for further consultation. So there are some members who need some additional information, some further discussion that will have to take place. So I would want to appeal to the House to postpone the discussion until we come back.
Yeah. And I would like to add a footnote. The footnote will simply say, let that process of consultation should take place now. Don't delay, wait until we come back to engage each other. Do it since we are not meeting tomorrow, so that by the time we come back, we can address this subject in a very, very timely. Can I encourage you to do that? We have two ambassadors who have been assigned to engage the minister, and I hope they have taken note of that request. So agreed. Thank you very much. The Secretary will read the second order of the day.
Resumption of debate on the ratification of the Maritime Labour Convention of 2006 as amended.
When the Assembly adjourned yesterday, 18 February 2025, the question before the Assembly was a motion by the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Works and Transport, that the ratification be agreed to as amended. The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works and Transport replied. However, the adoption of the motion was deferred due to the lack of 29 voting members. Thus, I now put the question that the ratification be agreed to as amended. Any objections? Agreed to? Thank you. We move on. The Secretary will read the third order of the day.
Resumption of debate on the ratification of the revised African Maritime Transport Charter.
When the Assembly adjourned yesterday, 18 February 2025, the question before the Assembly was a motion by the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, Minister of Works and Transport, that the ratification be agreed to. The Honorable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Works and Transport replied, however, the adoption of the motion was deferred due to the lack of 29 voting members. Therefore, I now put the question that the ratification be agreed to. Any objection? Agreed to? Thank you. The Secretary will read the fourth order of the day.
Ratification of the draft SADC protocol on the interstate transfer of sentenced offenders.
When this Assembly adjourned yesterday, 18 February 2025, the question before the Assembly was a motion by the Honorable Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security that the protocol be agreed to. The Honorable Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security replied, however, the adoption of the motion was deferred due to the lack of 29 voting members. I therefore would now put the question that the protocol be agreed to. Any objections? Yes?
Oh, the Speaker is continuously repeating it, but I wanted that to be advised. Is the quorum 29 or 49?
49.
Okay.
49. Sorry, I might. I don't know where the two came from. Yes, Honorable Slightwine.
Honorable Speaker, just probably a small thing. Honorable Speaker read that we are ratifying a draft protocol. So I wonder whether that is proper or whether it is just a mistake
I think
on the heading. It is the protocol that we can ratify. We cannot ratify drafts. Thank you.
Let me check. Let me say. Can I repeat? Because just so that I can get it right. When this Assembly adjourned yesterday, 18 February 2025, the question before the Assembly was a motion by the Honorable Deputy Minister of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security that the protocol be agreed to. Protocol. So are we happy with that? Protocol, not an, yeah. Therefore, the question now before us is that the protocol be agreed to. Any objection? We agree to that. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for correcting that error. I might have an error. I don't know how it came in. The Secretary will read the fifth order of the day.
Stage Public Gatherings and Public Processions Bill.
Does the Minister of Home Affairs, Immigration, Safety and Security move that the Assembly now goes into committee?
Honorable Speaker, we are still busy with the amendments, which must go to the Attorney General for certification. In light of that, may I beg the indulgence of the House to postpone this item to 5 March, Wednesday, 5 March. I so move.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We move on. The first notice of the motion is the one of the Honorable Minister of Justice. Does the Honorable Minister move that the bill now be introduced?
I so move, Honorable Speaker.
Who seconds the motion? Thank you. Is there any objection? None. Then it's agreed to. Honorable Minister, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker and honorable members. I rise today to motivate the Ombudsman Bill, a crucial piece of legislation aimed at strengthening the legal framework governing the office of the Ombudsman. This bill is an essential step in ensuring the full independence and effectiveness of the office, as well as its compliance with Article 89(3) of the Namibian Constitution, which prohibits any interference in the work of the Ombudsman. I hasten to confirm that there are no known incidents of interference by other state organs with its work. We pride ourselves with an enhanced culture of respecting the principle of separation of powers for our institutions. The Ombudsman Act 7 of 1990 came into force on 14 June 1990 and has remained unchanged for over 3 decades. It is one of the pieces of legislation introduced at the advent of our independence, demonstrating the founding government's political will to entrench a culture of human rights early on. Perhaps it made sense then, but the limited nature in text and scope of the law was not enough to safeguard the Ombudsman's autonomy and guarantee its independence in accordance with the Paris Principles and Article 89(2) of the Namibian Constitution, to provide adequate resources or to equip the office with the necessary investigative powers. The principle to support its independence was not negotiable, but having it as an administrative office within the Ministry of Justice became increasingly challenging because of the competing interests related to law and justice. However, the need for an effective and well-resourced office became increasingly evident as the Namibian public required an institution that could respond to their concerns in a timely and competent manner. Consequently, the Parliamentary Standing Committee on Constitutional and Legal Affairs conducted a review and in July 2018 recommended that the Office of the Prime Minister and the Ministry of Justice introduce a bill to amend the Ombudsman Act. The recommendation emphasized the need to strengthen the Ombudsman's powers, introduce punitive measures for non-compliance, enhance its autonomy, and provide for the appointment of an executive director and staff, along with a dedicated budget vote. This recommendation was subsequently adopted by this Assembly on 17 March 2020, laying the foundation for the drafting of the Ombudsman Bill. The bill now before this House seeks to give effect to these reforms and ensure that the Office of the Ombudsman operates with the independence and authority required to effectively fulfill its mandate. Honorable Speaker, I'm not sure there is a lot of murmuring,
Yes.
like in the biblical times.
Yes.
If I can be protected.
Can we respectfully
The bill, Honorable Speaker, the bill will also empower the Ombudsman to align with international human rights instruments, particularly the Paris Principles regarding the status of national human rights institutions as outlined in the UN General Assembly Resolution 48/134 of 1993. In this context, the bill proposes to separate the Office of the Ombudsman from the Ministry of Justice in terms of administrative and financial responsibilities, much like the judiciary, which operated under the Ministry of Justice for 25 years before achieving full independence in 2015. The Office of the Ombudsman traditionally serves as a safeguard against human rights violations, abuse of power by public institutions,
administrative errors, negligence, unfair decisions, and poor governance. Its core function is to enhance public administration by ensuring that governments are responsive to the needs of the people and that public officials remain accountable to the public. Over time, this office has become a crucial mechanism for individuals seeking justice against unfair actions by public authorities. Namibia's commitment to upholding human rights and democratic principles is evident in our recognition of the Ombudsman as an essential institution. However, for it to fully execute its mandate, it must receive the necessary support, both in terms of financial resources and legislative reinforcement. There is a need for adequate funding to allow the institution to expand its reach, improve its investigative capabilities, attract highly skilled and qualified individuals, and retain staff of similar caliber, and enhance its public engagement to ensure that all citizens, including those in remote areas, can access its services. The state of human rights in Namibia reflects both progressive and ongoing challenges. While the country has made significant strides in promoting constitutional rights and freedoms, issues such as enhanced access to justice, socioeconomic disparities, and the protection of vulnerable groups remain areas of some concern. The effectiveness of human rights protection depends not only on legal recognition, but also on practical enforcement. Laws and policies alone are not enough. They must be backed by strong institutions, adequate resources, and a commitment to accountability. Without these, human rights risk become as aspirational ideals rather than lived realities for all Namibians. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, it is no secret that the Office of the Ombudsman has faced criticism in the past, with some questioning its effectiveness and impact. However, our vision is to strengthen this institution so that it truly serves its mandate as it is supposed to. We want to change public perception by ensuring that the Ombudsman's interventions lead to real success stories, cases that set a precedent and make tangible differences in people's lives. A true guardian of citizens' rights needs adequate powers in order to seek an appropriate and speedy remedy for breaches of those rights. In other words, the ability to take effective action is the key. And equally, and I'm about to conclude, an equally urgent issue is the lack of access to justice for many indigent individuals in developing our country. Even when individuals are aware of their legal rights, the complexity of legal procedures and the high cost of legal services often discourage them from seeking justice. This issue is especially troubling in the area of human rights protection, as rights are meaningless if they cannot be effectively enforced. The Ombudsman's role is upholding justice, transparency, and human rights, and it reflects the vision of a democratic and fair society that the late founding father of the Namibian nation, Dr. Sam Nujoma, alongside our forebears, dedicated their lives to building. It is crucial that this institution functions as it was envisioned, to be a place of refuge for those who have nowhere else to turn. Honorable Speaker, honorable members, when people seek assistance from institutions like the Ombudsman, it is because they believe in its mandate and in its ability to uphold justice. If this office cannot assist them, there is a real risk that they may never find the help they so desperately need. It is therefore our duty to ensure that the Ombudsman is empowered to serve its purpose effectively, giving real meaning to the promise of justice for all. I urge honorable members to approach this discussion with a commitment to justice and the betterment of our legal system as we work towards passing this critical legislation. The bill plays a key role in strengthening Namibia's dedication to the rule of law, good governance, and the protection of citizens' rights. With this in mind, I now present the Ombudsman Bill for the consideration of this August House. I thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any further discussion? Comments, observations? Honorable Ampinti, Dr. Ampinti, please.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just have a small contribution, and I thank the Minister for this really good instrument, because I feel that the Ombudsman's office has for long been playing some kind of little brother to other institutions that should really be befitting of the task that is articulated in the bill here, that of focusing on human rights, children's rights. I just have three particular contributions in my short intervention. One is on the appointment, and I like the fact that it defines, because the Ombudsman is appointed, I think, on the recommendation of the Judiciary Service Commission to the President. It brings in the succession, the issue of succession, Deputy Ombudsman. Because many times institutions fail to plan for actually, carrying the vision forward when the principal leaves. And this is very good. Now, in terms of number two, the appointment of the Deputy Ombudsman, I would want the Minister to be very prescriptive in terms of B, where you say, is a judge of Namibia. Is it a High Court judge, or is it a Supreme Court judge, or is it the Miss Namibia judge? Just be very prescriptive, be prescriptive about that, so that we are very clear that we are not dealing with any other judge, but a judge in the court of law. The other issue that I would want to contribute to is the functions of the Ombudsman. In particular, A, the focus is just on the public institutions. And I think this is a trend that has been set by many of these acts, focusing only on public institutions. Are we trying to say that we are only governing public institutions? Much of the injustices are actually happening in private institutions. In private institutions like commercial banks, farms, and many other institutions. So we must be all out, because we are not only governing the public side of Namibia, we are governing the Republic of Namibia. And I want the Minister to include even private institutions. You have banks, for example. Those are publicly traded institutions that are holding millions and billions of dollars of public funds and deposits. And therefore we cannot exclude them from that scrutiny. Where you said there, its public functions in a course of the administration of affairs of government, or a government institution which result or is likely to result in prejudice. Many of the prejudice are happening in private institutions. And therefore we must not limit the power of the Ombudsman's office to go after even private institutions that are committing human rights abuse or prejudicing individuals. But otherwise, Mr. Speaker, this is a very good instrument, and I wholeheartedly support the Minister for actually 30 years after the first act was promulgated to bring this to fruition, and I congratulate you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And I would like to appeal to the Honorable Hengari. Honorable Hengari, I'm appealing to you. I jumped the gun. I want to sort out some of the administrative details that I did not take into account. When the Honorable Minister spoke, I ought to have asked you to submit to table the bill. And it was an error on my part. And then we go through the formalities. Be so kind. Be so kind. Yes.
Yes, Honourable Speaker, actually the bill was submitted when I gave notice last week.
But
so I don't have an extra copy. It was submitted.
Okay. Well, I think before you,
symbolically.
Just symbolically. Yeah. Because before you spoke, we ought to read the bill the first time. Yeah. Then Then after that, I'll say the secretary will now read the bill the first time. Secretary. Thank you. So we are done. And the minister has already spoken, and the floor is open, and I have the pleasure to give the floor to the Honorable Hungary.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I would want to congratulate the Minister on bringing this very, very important bill to the House. I think as members of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, it's one bill that that we have been anticipating and that we have long awaited to come to the House. I can only hope that we'll also receive the Auditor General's bill, but I'd like to postpone this particular debate to the 4th of March. Are we done? When are we done?
And we'll take care of that.
Yes, whenever we are back.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you.
Thank you. We still have, the floor is open for, if there's anyone who wishes to contribute? None. Okay. We move on to the next item, and the next item, the second notice of motion is the one of the Honorable Motu. Does the Honorable Member move the motion? Yes, please.
Honorable Speaker, after extensive discussions at the LPM caucus, we have decided that this will be the first agenda in the next Parliament because of the extensive nature that it demands for the Standing Committee. There's not enough time. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, basically then that concludes the various items of the agenda, and yes.
No, I think for recording purposes, it is a withdrawal for now to be represented.
Yeah. And I think in the record, the motion is withdrawn. Yeah. Did we? I think we concluded all the items of the agenda, and you are entitled to have tea without returning here. The House stands adjourned until further notice. So agreed?